Very good evening, sir. We can start ahead, sir. We can start ahead. All set, and students have joined actually. Thank you for
Okay.
waiting.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so we can get going. Yeah, I'll start. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah, you can hear.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank,
All right.
thank you, Pradeep.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Before that, I'll just have a short introduction.
That's good. Wait, do you want me to do introduction or are you going to do introduction?
I'll just
Okay,
start.
got it. Yeah, sorry, I can't
and
see
then we
anything
can.
because
I'll hand over.
everybody is off. So
Okay.
yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. The team from LightFury gaming team and VIT students all together combined for this afternoon talk, and we are really eager to have you on board, sir. And we hope that this venture would go uh, to a long term. So thanks for Abhi Somay sir. Also, he helped us in getting this being executed, and all our students are really eager to have you hearing you. So over to you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Just checking you can hear me clearly. Yeah, all good. Okay, I assume if nobody says anything means you can hear me. Well, first of all, thank you so much for this invitation, for having LightFury Games being able to speak in front of I think all 4 campuses, thousands of students. And thanks to the students also for taking time out of your very busy schedule, I'm sure, to come and hear me talk a little bit about our company, about games. Hopefully you'll find it interesting. And yeah, I mean, I also am very grateful that the organizers even thought that this would be an important thing and something that would be great for the students. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. All I need to do is have somebody make sure that they can confirm that they can see it, and then I am ready to go. So can everybody see my screen? Can somebody confirm?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
we can
see
see.
it?
We can see. Yeah, it's all good, sir.
Perfect. Okay, great. All right. So, hi, my name is Chong Yu. I'm the Chief Technology Officer here at LightFury Games. I will be going through who LightFury Games are and what are we doing. But first, a very quick introduction to myself. So I'm the Chief Technology Officer. I joined as part of the founding team at LightFury Games, who started earlier this year in May. My background is that I spent the last 15 years predominantly in games. My specialty is in games development, AI research, and a combination of AI research and games. So that's what I've been spending the past couple of years. I've worked at several different companies across the world. We've had offices in the UK, in the US, in China, and we have this was like previously when I was at Electronic Arts as well as Improbable. And then, as you will hear later, we're trying to also make LightFury a really great company that is has talent all over the world. But you will see that there's a really big emphasis on the Indian market and why we want to be India's first true AAA game studio. So with that in mind, that's what I said. Like, we want to not just be another game studio out of India. We want to be a true AAA game studio. And I will talk a little bit more about what that means, but very briefly, that means that in technology, in art, in how we build our games, we are doing things that are state of the art. So things that adopt modern practices, modern infrastructure, modern technologies, and everything that goes into being able to build great games. But not only that, we not only want to build many games, but we are also intending to deal and develop all kinds of products and services in relations to technology and games as well. And like I said, I will go into a little bit more detail about what this actually means. But if the long story short is that being a AAA game studio in India And not only just building a single game or multiple games, but we are intending to be building an ecosystem of products and services in relation to that. So who are we? Our team is actually made up of quite a lot of people. We are about 55 people right now, even though we started in May. We have people all over the world who have come from all over the world, and from some very, very notable game companies, Ubisoft, Wargaming, Microsoft, Rocksteady, Warner Brothers, working on some of the most popular games that you might have played yourselves. We are trained in both PC and console, but also mobile game development as well as web games development. So we kind of cover every single platform. We have worked on first-party titles, so this means working on something like Assassin's Creed, Batman. We've also worked in conjunction with other companies in the past in order to support the development. So if you look at something like Madden or Grand Theft Auto, this actually spans multiple different studios across the world. So that's where we're from. And here are some of the titles that we as a game company have shipped in the past. If you combine the experience from all over the teams, there's actually a lot more that we couldn't fit into this slide, but just hopefully this gives you a bit of a sense of who we are and where we have come from and why we are all united in this new venture together in India. To build the next set of great games that come up straight from India themselves. So our vision is to actually not just build games, but to really create a new era of games that will help to really elevate and redefine like how games are played by everybody. So when you think of AAA, you may think of like a console game, but not everybody plays console games. We actually are thinking about how we can create experiences that will obviously be fun, but will also maybe span new audiences that previously would have not considered themselves gamers as well. And the idea is that even though we are an Indian company, we are based in India, a majority of our staff are there. We want this to actually be a studio that is globally recognized for what we build. And therefore, building these groundbreaking experiences and allowing us to make sure that these are not just like targeted to a particular region or targeted to a particular kind of subset of genres. We want to be able to build multiple experiences, multiple games that will allow us to be globally recognized across the world. So when you think of a Blizzard or you think of Electronic Arts, you think about Riot Games, you don't think, oh, this is a USA company, right? You think this is a global company with a global product. And that's what we want LightFury to be. But before I go on, I've been talking a lot. I thought it would be good to hear a little bit from the audience. So I'll need the organizers to help me because I don't know whether I can hear the group, but I have a couple of questions, two very simple questions really, that I would love to hear what people think. So first of all, when you hear AAA, what do you think that means? What does that mean to you when you hear a game is a AAA game versus a non-AAA game? So I'd love to actually hear a little bit of like what people think.
You want a response from the students?
Yeah. So anybody from the students, like if anybody, because I can't
Because
see. Yeah. But if there's anybody that has
unfortunately, the students are on other platform. They are not, the complete students are on YouTube.
okay. Yeah. Is there
So
anybody, is there like a comments, is there like a comment stream or something that we can just get any, just any input at all, like what it means? So
right.
if that's too difficult,
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah. What do you think?
Let me check. Let me check.
Yeah.
So
No
give
problem
me
if
just
no
1 minute.
problem.
I will inform them to open the comment session so that you can get the response from the candidates.
Yeah, sounds good. That'll be
Sure,
fantastic,
sure,
actually.
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
that'd be good.
Sir, there is a small glitch in that actually.
No
So you
problem.
can proceed ahead. If there
Okay,
is any
no
concern
problem.
from the students, I will share it in the
Okay,
chat
no
box
problem, no
in
problem. It
Zoom.
was more meant to drive a little bit of a conversation,
Okay, sir.
but it's
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
I can take it from here. So I think when people think about AAA games, maybe they think, oh, Red Dead Redemption or Batman, or Grand Theft Auto. And I think that's correct, right? Like a AAA game usually is very high profile, very high budget, very high production value. It's almost like going to watch a movie premiere. But at the same time, it also means a lot of other things, right? Because when we say we are building a AAA game studio here in India, does it mean we're just going to spend $100 million of money to build the next, Grand Theft Auto? I don't think that's what we mean, right? So I think it's worthwhile talking a little bit about what we mean when we say a AAA game studio here in India. Okay, let's see. How do I go to the next slide? Okay, great. Okay, so what does a AAA game studio mean, right? So 100% when you think about AAA, it's always about the production values. Production value means when you play the product, you feel like this is a really, really, really good product. You feel like this is the result of not just the effort of like hundreds of people, but this is a very carefully designed, carefully crafted, and the people who delivered it really wanted you as the gamer to have a wonderful experience. So that's what production value is. Okay. But then when it comes to a AAA studio, right? Like everybody wants to build a great product. Everybody wants to create a great experience for people. Nobody ever sets out, doing a game studio that like with the purpose of creating a terrible game. I don't think that's what people want to do, right? So it's really important when we think about excellence. And this is where, we are thinking about, we want this to be a product that isn't just targeted to one group. So that's why the scale, right? Like it has to be an immersive experience. It has to target, more than one person. And when we talk about the experiences that are groundbreaking, it needs to be something novel, right? It needs to be something where people say, I have not experienced this before. I have not experienced something like this, or somebody else trying to create this experience would have not done as good a job as if LightFury had done it. And I think this is like what drives us, and is what's the difference that we're going to make. And to drive a little bit more into that, right? Like when we think about being a AAA game studio, it's more than just the product, right? Yes, we want to create AAA games. We want to have very, very hard, state-of-the-art technical achievements. But we also want to continue to contribute to India and the Indian game economy, games ecosystem and economy as well. So we are actually, having conversations with many other game studios in India in areas where they perhaps could use our help. We have a lot of people at LightFury who have worked on console games, PC games, mobile games, web games. And some of these, companies may not have had that experience. And we have actually offered, to support the development and providing some, advice, helping with some technical challenges. And I think that's really what we are trying to do here. We are trying to elevate the entire games industry in India. It's not just about LightFury, but it's also about, being able to support the entire games development market. The other thing is that I think we mentioned, right? Like we are actually headquartered in Bangalore, in India, but we do have team members. Right now, we have team members in Brazil. We have them in Spain, UK, Italy, and all over. And even within India, it's not just in Bangalore. We have people all over India as well. And this allows us to not just, find the best talent in the world, but it also allows us to work together with companies around the world. So just now I said we definitely want to elevate the whole Indian game development standard, but we actually have the opportunity to work with other companies as well. So for example, we have very close relationships with Amazon, working together with their cloud department, where we have very close relationships with Epic Games, working on Unreal Engine. And this global presence allows us to be able to, make the connections across the globe. Yes, there are, studios and there are other game studios in Asia and in India, but I think having a global presence really helps. And I think the other thing that we are really, really interested in is that, nobody is a game developer overnight. People spend many, many years developing this. And the reason why we are so excited today to be talking to you is because we really invest a lot in helping to grow the next generation of game developers. Because truthfully, we only have maybe a couple more games before we probably have to retire. But you in the audience, you are the ones that will be building the games that we will play, or our children will play, or our grandchildren will play. And so it's really important to us that we are now grooming and growing and mentoring and training the next generation of talent. So if you actually look at LightFury, we have everybody from interns all the way with people with like 30, 35 years of experience across programming, across art, across design, across production, across QA. And that's something that we are really, really proud of. We will continue to grow our presence. We actually have a UK presence now. There's going to be an upcoming entity that's going to be based in Singapore. And there's also many other places that we're looking at. And I think this all contributes to the opportunity of what we're doing here. So some of you may know a lot about games in terms of playing games. You may have your favorite game, whether it's BGMI or whether it's like Fortnite or maybe it's EAFC. But what actually goes into making games? And I think a lot of people, that's the number one question that I get. My family members, when I tell them I make games, they say, oh, so you just sit around and play games all day long. Sounds really fun. But actually, though there is to some extent, yes, we do play games, but actually a lot of time is spent in crafting it, right? It's almost like going to a chef and saying, oh, you spend all day, eating. Yes, I'm pretty sure they eat, but actually, a lot of the effort goes into preparing the meals, picking the right ingredients, working with the sous chef, with the assistant chef, with the rest of the team, working with the local farmers and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's the mentality when it comes to game development. And I will go into a little bit more detail here. So when it comes into game development, there's like so many opportunities for all kinds of people across all kinds of creative talents. So some people go into programming or coding or engineering. But even within engineering, right, some people focus more on gameplay mechanics. Some people focus more on, say, the engine side. When I say engine, what does that mean? So if you actually look at how games have progressed, look at Mario 20 years ago and look at, say, Final Fantasy today. The graphics have become so realistic now, and these are the works of people who have focused a lot of time in developing new rendering techniques, being able to use new graphics cards to do things like shadows, to do things like reflections. So that's what we mean by engine. But then there's a lot of other things that go along. Look, if you think about a game like BGMI, for example, you have millions and millions and millions of players. Each of them are doing millions and millions and millions of actions per minute. And all of these actions are being recorded, right? You have your stats, you have your, kill death ratio, and all of these have to go into a database somewhere. And there are also engineering people that will focus on making sure that you can find players to play with, but you're also able to store this data in a very, very easy to access manner. And so engineering really has a lot of different things. And obviously everybody knows now, like AI is a big thing across, across all the industries, right? Whether it comes to automated animation, whether it's to do with AI players, so you can play with bots, or whether it comes to, creating, art that is entirely AI driven. There's so many different things that come into AI. And a lot of these things are rooted in programming and engineering disciplines. And then on the other hand, there's also art and animation, right? So this is where you actually look, when you look at a character model, say in Grand Theft Auto, you'll be like, wow, this is so realistic, right? You look at Grand Theft Auto 1 and Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto 5 and 6, you can see that, like the animations become more fluid, the art becomes better. And then when it comes to the design, you can see like the world has become bigger, right? Used to be just one city, right? And then became Vice City. And then after that, now you have in Grand Theft Auto, you have like the entire, like landscape that you can traverse and do all that. And all this comes into making sure that there's a good and coherent design. You think about Red Dead Redemption is another one where you have this entire Western world, right? With a story arc with all the side quests. That's not easy to do. You actually have a team of designers making sure that all of this comes into play. And then a lot of the other things that you may not think, immediately when you're playing it, but we always like to say this in games. If you don't notice it, it means it's done well. But if it's done badly, you will 100% notice this. And this are things like the camera controls, the sound design, the quality of how something looks. When something looks great, nobody notices it because people like just absorb it, right? Like we are humans. But when something feels off, like when you're controlling a character or when the lip syncing is just off, like people notice it straight away. And it's really hard to get this right. And actually, one thing that a lot of people do not realize is that when it comes to games development, as much as building the game is important, marketing the game is just as important. If you actually look very closely at when games are released, when games are announced, when games are teased, right? How long the trailer is, what do they show in the trailer? All of this actually is part of marketing and product marketing. So, and you will see that, a lot of these games rely on marketing to get this into the hands of players, into the eyes of players, so that by the time it comes to the game's release, they already know that there's going to be an audience for them. So there's so many other disciplines that related to game development. And I hope like this is like just a starting point to see that, there's so many areas that needs input from, talented people like yourselves. So if you're interested in games in any way, whether it's playing games, whether it's designing, whether it's music, whether it's programming, I really strongly encourage you to, take the next step and think about, okay, there's definitely something for you. We need all the help we can get, trust me. And, don't be afraid of saying, hey, like, I think that, I'm a great storyteller, but no, maybe I'm not as good as, like this designer, who designs, say, Mass Effect or Dragon Age, right? No, don't think that way, right? You are creating the next generation of games. And my goal here is to tell you that, and to welcome you into like kind of like taking that next step into understanding a little bit more about how your talent can be used to contribute towards games. So this is a kind of like a really tailored towards a little bit more like programmers and engineers, but it kind of relates to all other disciplines as well. But the way that we do things here at LightFury, right? The way we really, really like look at how we want to build the next generation of game developers at LightFury is that when you come in, we try to give you as much exposure to everything as possible. Because if we say you come in, okay, you are a gameplay engineer, that is not very, it's like kind of pigeonholing you into a role that maybe you don't enjoy. So what we like to do is that we like to give you a bit of everything, right? You may work a little bit on gameplay. So maybe you're doing the new climbing mechanic. And then we move you into a different team where you're working on making the characters look more realistic, or maybe lip syncing, or how the character motion tracking is. And then we move you on to something else, maybe saying, how do you do automated testing? And then we move you to something else like how to use AI for automatically generating tools or automatically generating content. So that's the goal initially, is to get you to be very familiar with all the different aspects of what goes into it. And then naturally, people will find things that they enjoy a little bit more. And nobody is the same. Some people like working on the engine stuff. Some people like working on the gameplay. Some people like working on the database and optimization, make things really, really fast. Some people like to do networking. Some people like to do, when I say networking, it's like, making it work for 100 players, right? That was not easy. When PUBG and BGMI did a 100-player battle royale, that was not an easy task. And some people don't enjoy that. Some people really enjoy being able to do that. And then slowly, as you become a specialized person, right, you then will then be in a position where you will train the next generation yourself. So people will end up having, 2 or 3 more junior engineers. So maybe if once you're in the company for like 2-3 years, you start to have more junior people. Maybe a graduate will be under you, an intern will be under you, and you will impart your knowledge to them. And they will also give you that enthusiasm and excitement. You will help them to find their way through this. And then finally, as you go higher and higher up, you will go into what you will call a principal role or staff role. So at LightFury, we have a couple of staff engineers. So one of our staff engineers, for example, 25 years, 30 years in the industry, writes his own physics engine that can be used and like in place of, say, something else. And some people enjoy working with people a little bit more, so they move into a management role, so more of like a lead role. So you will spend a little bit less time maybe coding or debugging yourself, but then you will actually amplify, and I like to use the term, you become like an enabler or force multiplier, right? By you training up more and more people under you, you're actually able to achieve more. So some people prefer to spend more time hands-on. Some people prefer a little bit more of like the people side. And at LightFury, we actually encourage people to be able to do any of to go down any of these 2 paths. And there's different ways that we can do that. In terms of engineering right now, I know, in terms of, specifically engineering, and I know that this was like part of the reason why we want to have this conversation today, is that we are looking for talent right now. So if you know C++, and if you know Unreal Engine, I'm pretty sure we will have a role for you like right now. That's what we're doing. If you know Python, TypeScript or JavaScript, things on the backend side, building web services and web pages, we also have that need. And this also goes into things like if you are familiar with cloud systems and cloud services. So AWS, Google Cloud, things like that. Terraform. Like we're kind of like really just looking for people who have this experience, because this is the tech stack that we are doing now. We also actually, and somebody is like, oh yeah, I don't have Unreal experience, I have Unity experience. Absolutely, because we have actually a lot of people who came into LightFury with only Unity experience. We trained them up in Unreal, and now they know both. And I think that's a really useful skill set to have. And very soon, we don't teach you game engines, really. What we focus on is teaching you how to learn, how to teach yourself. And I think that's more important, because in the next 10 years, you never know what's the next game engine. And I think it's more important that you, as an individual, know how to pick up new skills, pick up new technologies yourselves, and apply it in games development, more so than teaching you that, okay, you have to use C++. And we are not just focused on engineering. We're building a creative product, right? We're building something that you can play on your phone, on your PC, on your console. And so if you have experience, and we highly encourage people to be more broad, so experience in 3D modeling, understanding animation, blend spaces, and all that kind of stuff, like like that's very good for us, because like I said, we are, we believe in holistic development and then specialization later as you develop more and more understanding of your craft. So kind of like, long story short, for this slide is like, we're looking for anybody that's just really passionate at playing games and wanting to learn how to build the next generation of games. We also want people who are very excited to work with other people around us, because you don't build games solo unless you're the person who made Stardew Valley. But most other games are built in teams, and that's what we're trying to do here at LightFury. We're trying to foster a company where you feel that you can learn from one another, and you can also help other people learn from your own experiences. So a little bit more about our studio. We have one office right now in India, and that's in Bangalore. That's a little bit of a small preview and a picture of where we are, and the address if you want to pay us a visit, but I think you need a pass to get in. But yeah, we are growing. We took this picture, I think, in June, and you can see I'm sitting there. And we have already, I can, like, off bat, I think we've almost triple in size, or easily triple in size since then, and this was back in June. So we are actively growing. We are in a position where we are very fortunate. Our leaders have raised capital from very supportive and enthusiastic investors. So we are very lucky and fortunate to be in this position. So we are actively growing. We are building a really good product. We are working on several projects right now as well. And so, I would really say that if anything in today's presentation resonated with you, I would highly recommend going to our website, looking at the company, looking at, the profile, and looking at a little bit at like some of the open roles that we have. If you don't see a role immediately, don't be afraid to make a speculative application, because our hiring team is extremely dedicated. We go through CVs and cover letters to understand a little bit about what you're looking for, and sometimes we end up finding a role that's not publicized but may actually suit you very well. We currently actually are fortunate enough, because of the global talent we have, we actually cover expertise across all platforms. So mobile, console, PC, web, streaming, VR. We've all worked with these things before. We work with all kinds of game engines as well, whether it's like Unreal and Unity, the usual ones, or like some of the web technologies like Phaser 3. And we also have a lot of experience working with proprietary engines. And what's a proprietary engine? So if you look at a company like Ubisoft or Electronic Arts, they don't use Unreal Engine, they don't use Unity. They may use it for prototyping internally, but when they launch their games, it actually uses their own bespoke custom engine. So for example, Electronic Arts uses Frostbite. They use that for the EAFC and all the other games. So we actually have that experience because we've spent time working with all of these other companies in the past, and we've come from there ourselves. We also are not constrained to a specific genre. We work on across all kinds of genres, whether it's first-person shooters, RPGs, MMORPGs, casual games, and we have expertise also in strategy games, and real-time strategy games, and other forms of that as well. And And we also make use of the latest and greatest technologies that developers are using today. So you can see not exhaustive list of tools and technologies that we use, but the usual names, Motion Builder for animation, Maya, and 3ds Max for modeling, Substance, Painter, Blender, and we also use different version control tools as well. The goal here is to actually be versatile, because you never know how the industry goes, and the main thing is to make sure that we are prepared to be able to adopt to that. And so finally, I mentioned this many times, but we are hiring. So take a look at our website. I would like to thank also our wonderful investors and people who have backed us and trust us. If you're unfamiliar with any of these names, you can go and check them up. We have a good mixture of like VCs across many different industries, whether it's not just gaming actually. And they've placed the trust in us, and we are trying to repay that trust by building a great product, building a great studio, and ultimately building a great ecosystem in India with the people that we have now and the people that we get to hire. And so with that, I think that is the end. I've talked for very long. I'm very happy to take questions, but I don't know whether the system is enabled to take questions right now. So I will hand it back to the organizers and await their next instruction. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to have the Q&A session, but just students adding on to CU's presentation, don't be afraid to apply. You can just reach out to us at even if there's a role that you see on our careers page on our website that's not applicable for you, reach out to us, writing us on careers at lightfurygames.com, and just reach out to us, talk to us where your expertise lies and how you can be a compatible part of the team. Just adding on to it, I work in the founder's office at LightFury Games, and similar to most of the students out here, this is my first foray into gaming, just like most of you all, and I had no idea of how a game development process or the art process or the production process carries out in a AAA gaming environment. But just 4 months, 5 months into the organizations, just watching the team work through their processes, I've gotten a lot of experience. I've learned a lot from the team, and the leadership team over out here is really awesome, who's gonna really help you grow as a professional and grow as an individual. So don't be afraid, just go out there and apply. And yeah.
Yes, thanks,
Over.
Abi. Just reiterating that, we are not, obviously if you have experience in games, that's great, but like the whole purpose of this is that nobody comes into games with like 10 years of experience. So like what Abi said, like if you're interested in it, if you have passion for it, you want to learn, there's like so many opportunities that we have. In fact, Abi, correct me if I'm wrong, I think like very recently, we actually had somebody like come to us at one of the conferences. He or she was didn't use Unreal Engine, but played Fortnite and was very interested in the game development process, showed us a bit of a demo, and I think we hired him. So so like it's
I
just to
think you're
show.
referring to Anijan.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
he just sent us an email. We happen to be in the same location. Our founder actually went to reply back, and I think they met up or they had a conversation there, and then he joined us like 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later. So it's not we're not saying that we're not saying this just because this is kind of like a promotion event, but this is really true. Like we do actually go through and look at people's stories, their backgrounds, their skill set, and like what Abi said, you don't have to have had like games development experience. As long as you're interested in games development, we're more than happy to get some applications. Yeah.
All right, I don't think we have the system enabled here for a Q&A session. So
No
over
problem.
to the organizers.
Yep.
Yes, thank
If
you
you can.
very much, Team Light Fury. And students, further instructions would be percolated through CDC. So wait for the further information, and we'll start the process of further details would be shared with you. Thank you, team, once again. Thank you, students, for your time, and we look forward for further processes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure. And I'd love to hear back of any feedback that we can do for future presentations. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you for organizing this team. Bye bye.
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 Thank you.
ஹலோ சார் என் பண்ணிடலாமா சார்